Hello, everyone. I'm Charlie, and welcome back to the first ever Thursday UCL DFS soccer slate breakdown. Because of the new format, we now get Thursday UCL games. Thursday used to be a Europa League day, but now they've kind of moved it around. So Europa League's like its own week now instead of being the same week as Champions League. And because of that, we just got a whole extra match day of games. So I'm super excited for it. As for the slate itself, this is wide open. This is the most wide open slate we've seen so far. There's no real big favorite. All the favorites are minus 100 practically, and every game is like that. Barcelona minus 140 against Monaco, Arsenal minus 125 against Atalanta, Atleti minus 137 against Leipzig, and Brest minus 111 against Sturm Graz. So yeah, like they're all like so close that there's no team in a better spot than the other among these favorites. They're all pretty much the same. And because of that, we can really kind of pick from anywhere. And let's get into the lineups. For set pieces on Monaco, it should be Golovin and Enrique. Golovin didn't end up taking any set pieces in his first league start of the season for Monaco, but I feel like it's probably a one-off. I expect him to end up with more of like a 50-50 split with Enrique when he's a little bit more match fit. And for Barcelona, it should be a Rafinha monopoly, I want to say, in this team. There's a chance that Ferran takes a couple, but Rafinha is the main set taker for sure. Yamal has taken sets in the past, but Rafinha is kind of the main guy for sets for Barcelona, even though he takes for Spain. For Atalanta, it should be mostly Lookman. There's a chance that Ruggeri maybe takes a couple, but definitely more of an outside shot. And for Arsenal, it should be Saka and Rice splitting. It's interesting they have Sterling in. I probably brought him in just for games like these to give some rest to the other Arsenal attackers. So it makes sense. It's interesting to see how he'll do. For DFS, I don't think he's great here, but fun to watch for a neutral. Atletico Madrid should be Griezmann Monopoly, I want to say. He had a Monopoly last game. There's always a chance that Raquelme or DePaul will take a couple, but it's mostly Griezmann. And for Leipzig, it will be a Raum Xabi Simons split. Brest, Del Castillo Monopoly. Lala's taken some in the past, but it's Del Castillo's team. And for Sturm Graz, it should be Horvat. Prices. Now, this slate is super interesting. The big dogs are Saka, Griezmann, Rafinha. It's nice that there's a little bit more midfield slash forward eligibility for this slate, which we haven't really seen last like week or so. So it gives you a lot more roster flexibility in terms of who you play where. But Saka, Griezmann, Rafinha, they're the main guys that I'm looking at for this slate. For now, I'm not really interested for cash at least. Alvarez, I think, is all right in GPP, but just know that he's a 60-minute player now for Atleti. Like they always rotate their strikers 60 for one, 30 for the other, except for Griezmann, who will play the whole game usually. And because of those top kind of options, I'm not interested really in a ton of the rest of these guys for cash at least, except Lamine Yamal. He's like upwards of like 12K on like the interleague slates and showdowns that Barca's on, and here he's only 5,900. Like the logs I assume are off of last UCL season rather than how they've been doing in the league. So Lamine Yamal is severely, severely mispriced. The issue with him here is that just you only have so many slots, and there's so many guys who are guaranteed set takers on minus favorites. So he's not just necessarily a lock that you think he would be for just how completely mispriced he is. You kind of have to balance the position he takes up rather than just how good a bargain he is. And then after him, like I'm kind of whatever. Like there's like 4 or 5 really good forwards, and it makes everyone else kind of obsolete for cash at least. Like you can go for like an Embolo, whoever starts up for Monaco for value for GPP, but like for cash, this is such a good slate for floor that it makes it not really being worth the risk to go. Jorke's not bad either, but once again, similarly to And Bolo, like he's another ceiling guy. He's worth going in a few GPP builds, but for cash, like I just wouldn't even look that way. Lookman, I think that could be pretty interesting. Set pieces, Arsenal are going to control the ball is the worry, but he's a good player, Lookman, and I think he'll get opportunities even against like the stingy Arsenal defense, and I could see him being worth the risk for that cheap. I wouldn't say he's as good of a player as Yamal, though. Midfielders, like I assume you're going to end up with one of Rafinha or Saka or Yamal or one of these guys because they have midfield eligibility. You'll likely end up going one of them there rather than a straight mid. But the best of the straight mids is probably Xavi Simons. He's a little expensive for me with splitting sets on a dog, but Atletico Madrid tend to sit off a little bit. Like they're not going to dominate a game like a Man City would, so it gives a little bit more opportunity for floor for like your Xavi Simons. But like I said, just a little expensive for me considering he is on a dog when there's these other guys in a little bit better spots. Declan Rice is too much for me. He's solid if he's like super cheap just for sets, but for 8,300, I want a little bit more upside than he usually provides. Pedri, I think, is too much as well. Horvath is too much. Golovin, just another guy, too expensive. Like all these 7K guys, I feel like are not worth it. I'd rather go up to your Rafinhas, your Sakas. However, there's one guy that I'm going to get to that I think is really great in cash and GPP, and that is Ramon del Castillo, the main guy for Brest. He's like Brest are in as good a spot as your Atletico Madrid, your Arsenal, your Barcelona, and he is half the price of the set takers on those teams. And a lot of those guys that are splitting when he probably won't be. And at 5,200, that's a lock for me. He's kind of my favorite play on the slate right now. Like he's a stone lock for me. You go him, and then you kind of figure out what big guns to go around him from there. But he's the building block of your cash build, Bill Castillo. And then like Boving for GPPs taking some sets in the past. If Horvat's not in, I don't think that's a bad option. Even in GPP, just in a couple of builds, I don't think that's bad. Ben Seguir, if he starts, is not bad. That's like cheap upside potential. And not a ton else. Like I think there's going to be a super narrow pool for GPP, and it's just picking who to go in that pool and getting your 2v2s and 1v1s and 50-50s correct. Now defenders. I'm pretty sure I know who I'm playing here, but I'll just give it a look through the player pool and see if there's anyone who can maybe sway me. But the main guy I'm looking at is Savi Raum. Set piece taker. Look at his numbers, which is super solid all last Champions League season. Like I said before, Atletico Madrid is a team that I'm not afraid to pick against, even if they win like 1 or 2-0. They'll give up a lot of the ball to do it, giving a lot of opportunity for Leipzig to push, which might play into Atleti's hand or might play into Atleti's hands, but Leipzig are gonna attack anyway, and that just gives Raum a ton of opportunities to get forward, cross the ball, get fantasy points. Then after that, like all these other guys are too much for me. Like I'm not gonna play Molina, Guyan, Balde, Ben White. They're all too much. So because of that, I'm looking at guys who are a little bit more cheaper. Like Ruggeri's taken some sets in the past. I wish he was still slightly cheaper. So I'm not super intrigued by that. Bellanova, I just see is a little bit more attacking wise than Ruggeri, so I don't mind him. Bonderson, same thing. He starts on the wing sometimes. And then Chayo Enrique. This is likely my second defender. I might just make my core include Raum and Chayo just because they're the two set piece taking fullbacks, and there's not a ton of super nice defenders on this slate. Like you think of Arsenal, they invert their fullbacks kind of. They don't really attack that much. Like Ben White's kind of their best attacker just because he comes forward on set pieces in terms of their defenders. And like all the other defenders, there's like not really any wing backs on any of these big favorites, at least that are defender eligible. Like Riquelme and Llorente, if they were defenders, they'd be in play. But like you look at the rest of these teams, like Kunde, Balde, just like not your DFS dream really. So give me Raum, give me Chayo Enrique. Like I kind of love those as plays. And then after that, Kunde I don't think is bad at 3,500. I think I just go Enrique over him. And then there's just Lala. I don't think is that bad at 3K as a punt. I think that could be tempting for sure, actually. I probably will not have Enrique in the core just because of Lala kind of staring at me in the face, and I think is a not bad alternative. And I'm not really seeing a ton else. So yeah, there's like the 4 or 5 guys I'm kind of interested in for defender. Goalkeeper, crapshoot. I think it was Kobo Day today. He had like 20 points. Could be anyone. Really anyone, as always. Sommer was a good play too in the end, since Man City just couldn't break him down. And ended up being the Schmeichel, who was like the most expensive goalkeeper, kind of busted because they gave up a goal. Just luck of the draw. In terms of a core, Brown, Del Castillo, and then this next spot is tough. Do you just cram Griezmann, Rafinha, and Saka? Do you just go Yamal and maybe fade one of those big guns, go for more balanced build? Tons of ways to go. It makes it hard to commit to going one guy for sure. But if I had to pick one right now, I think it'd be Rafinha. He's the cheapest of the kind of big dogs, being Griezmann, Saka, and him. He's got a monopoly, and Barcelona are a possession-based team, which kind of plays into his favor. He's got super nice logs. He was splitting for a lot of these games too. So I think Rafinha is the guy. He's the guy I think I'm going to commit to in my core. But I could change come lineups, or like if we get any surprises, which makes me once again say to check out the FSI website, join the Discord through that. I've seen a ton of big hits lately through in the Discord from members, and yeah, guys, that'll be it. Good luck, and I'll see you for the next video. Peace.